want to welcome everyone and thank everybody for coming tonight. My name is Hayden Kilcoyne. I'm a police officer with the Village of McFarland. And I'm going to talk to you tonight about some of the scams and some of the fraud cases that we've been seeing quite a bit throughout the village and the Dane County area. So I investigate a lot of the scams and the frauds that we have throughout the village, and I consider myself pretty lucky to be able to have such a great working relationship with the local bankers and the staff, especially at One Community Bank. Nona here has been beyond helpful and teaching me as I learn about these, kind of as I go. Some of this stuff is new to me as well. So I think I'm pretty lucky to be able to work with this crew here, and I'm very glad that they were able to take some time out of their nights to come and kind of share a little bit of what they do as we all kind of work together to kind of best watch out for our community here. So I will let this crew here introduce themselves. Sure.
So my name is Nona Havey, and I am actually the bank manager at our McFarland office.
My name is Ann Riegert, and I'm the assistant bank manager in McFarland.
And my name is Michelle Garvey. I'm a retired teacher, and I'm here to share a little bit of my story as I was a victim of a fraud and how helpful the bank was.
I am Melissa Lewis, and I am the Director of Retail Training at One Community Bank. I'm located primarily here in McFarland, but I kind of go everywhere.
And my name is Patty Edmonds, and I am a Senior Relationship Banker at One Community Bank in McFarland.
Thank you, guys. So I'm going to go through, kind of drone on here a little bit about all the boring stuff and some of the things that I do. If you guys have any questions anywhere along the way, feel free to just ask them. Either myself or any of the crew up here will do our best to answer them for you. So one of the big things we're going to ask is, why are we here tonight? So we have noticed, Nona and I have kind of talked a lot, that she's been seeing a lot of bank customers that have been victims of scams. And I've looked at a lot of the cases that the police department has had here. And our fraud cases, scam cases, identity theft, a lot of those have been on the rise lately. Not 100% sure on the reason of that yet, but since it's such a relevant topic for us right now, we wanted to get together and share this information and just try to get everybody aware of what's going on out here. So hopefully we can try to slow down some of these numbers a little bit. So Nona and I and a lot of the bank staff here, we all kind of put our heads together and brainstorm some of the tips that we think are important that we think everybody should know. And then we'll also share a little bit about what each of us does for village residents, for people in our community, for bank customers, and then kind of how we work together to try and solve some of these things as they come across our desks. So I hope everyone can learn something tonight or, find some valuable takeaway. But again, our big thing is we want to share this information. So if you see something good, share it to friends, family, whoever. If you're watching this online, share this video with whoever's watching it and really spread the word. Our biggest thing that we want to do tonight is raise awareness of what's going on. So some of the important things to remember with these scams is some of the biggest things: banks, police departments, legitimate companies won't ask you for your personal information over the phone. We've been seeing a lot of these scams the majority of them either all start from or involve emails, cell phones, telephones, something like that. And the biggest thing, always keep your personal information personal. If someone calls to solicit your name, address, date of birth, social security number, bank numbers, no legitimate company, no legitimate business, police officer, government agency would be doing that. And one of the biggest things that I really want to stress on is this third note here: nobody will accept someone else's gift cards as payment. We've had a lot of gift card scams going around lately, and our scammers that we've been seeing have frequently been calling, asking for Walmart, Target, or Apple gift cards. They'll call you and say, hey, you owe us money, but you can pay for it in some other store's gift cards. The IRS, police department, sheriff's office, no businesses can accept another business's gift cards as payment. So gift cards are only for that business that they're there for. Some of the things to kind of look at when you see what might be a scam situation is ask yourself, is someone forcing me to do something right away? Is somebody acting like this is immediate, I have to do this right now, or they give me some type of consequence? If someone calls you asking for any of your personal information, are you expecting any calls like that? Are you expecting any calls from family, friends, doctors, someone that may have a legitimate reason for that. If you're not expecting any of those phone calls, that could be a tip that, hey, maybe this isn't what it seems to be here. A lot of the things with scammers is they are super big on, we gotta do this right now. They try to keep you distracted, keep you busy, get as much information from you as they can before you figure out what's going on, then you cut them loose and they move on. So in any of these situations, if something doesn't seem right, stop, slow down, and see if you can call them back. If you are talking to a bank member, police officer, someone that was legitimate, they'll say, sure, if you're busy, give us a call back when it works for you. A scammer is going to say, no, this has to be taken care of right now, don't hang up on me. So if someone's really pushy like that, that could be another one of these things, another kind of thing to pay attention to. Another note we put here is this call is what they're requesting me to do? Is it super specific? Like, are they giving me these really weird details that it just doesn't seem right? If you kind of get that odd feeling, the hair on the back of your neck kind of stands up, it could, be an indicator. Kind of trust your gut there. If something doesn't feel right, maybe it's not right.
Can I add something?
Absolutely.
One of the things that we see too, as Ann and I were talking about, what we wanted to share with you guys from a bank perspective, is a lot of times what we see is they're asking you to lie. Don't tell your banker what you need the money for. Just go in, do this, because they want you to get cash, maybe to go purchase gift cards or to get cash to go do a wire. But we found that in most of these cases, when we as bank staff ask them, they're being asked to lie. Don't tell the bank what you really need the money for. So that is one of the biggest things that we see.
So the next thing here is how do the police get involved and what do we do after someone gives us the call? The majority of these cases, by the time they come to the police department, it's after the fact. It's after a victim realizes they've been scammed, they realize they're out this money, then the police department gets a call. And after we get a call like that, I always try to make it a point, and a lot of officers do as well, to come and talk to you in person. I mean, you've already been through talking to somebody that you didn't really know on the phone. I try to make it an in-person contact, so just to not put someone in that same position twice, because I, at this point, would start asking you guys some of that personal information for my report. I would need, that personal information, but I don't like asking that over the phone, because I'm not going to sit here and preach, don't give anyone your personal information over the phone and then expect you to give it to me over the phone. So a lot of times an officer will talk to you in person, or it may start over the phone, and then they try to come and figure out a time that they can actually meet with you. The majority of these financial losses for victims isn't something that we can get back. The way that a lot of the state laws read it, and that a lot of some of these bigger credit companies will see it, is you voluntarily gave this person this money, so you can't claim it as fraud, you can't get that money back. So a lot of the times when that money's gone, it's gone. We have a very low success rate of being able to track these people across the country, across the world, to be able to get this money back. That's another reason why we wanted to really spread the word and try to prevent this from happening altogether, because remedying it isn't always an easy situation. So some of the things we find, and again, I'll elaborate on these a little bit more as we go along here, but scammers are using fake phone numbers. All of this money, they're spending it online. If they're asking for gift cards, as soon as you give them that gift card number over the phone, they're putting it into a cart, clearing it out, and that balance is gone almost immediately. A lot of these scams are pretty common going around. Is there a question there? The question there is, this phone number, when they'll call you, it looks like it's a local phone number, you call it back, and it's a phone number that's not in service. So I'll explain that a little bit more in depth, but a lot of that is they can create these phone numbers online to dial it out and make it look like it is a local phone number, and it's totally made up. And that's what that bottom point is. So they make this stuff look real, but it's all generated online. There's a lot of programs out there that make it super easy to do anymore. So real quick, I'm going to kind of touch on some of the main scams that we see, the ones that I've been investigating the most. Number one is going to be the gift card scams. Mainly because that gets associated with a lot of these other types of scams. And some of those handouts that are available on the back table, available from the banks and the police department for anybody that would like those as well. They kind of cover a lot of these more in depth, but a lot of them all kind of resort back to these gift card scams because that's an easy way that a scammer can get money. They ask for a gift card number over the phone, and then as soon as you scratch off that code on the back and give it to them, that money's gone. So you pay real money, you pay cash, you pay with your credit card, whatever, buy these gift cards, and then they take it from that gift card. It's tough to track because if they're buying that online, it doesn't show what store it came from. It shows that this charge from Home Depot came from here. Some of this product is being shipped from Kansas, this product is being shipped from California, and there's not a way to really track that stuff. A lot of these kind of initiate from the phone. Whether it's they start with a phone call or they start with an email that works its way into a phone call. A lot of times these scammers will identify themselves as someone they're not. They say that they're with a tech support company, they're with a bank, with a credit bureau, something. They say, hey, we see your information here. We see a red flag here. You need to get this remedied immediately, and we can do that for you, but you need to pay us to do that. And we take payment in a $500 Home Depot gift card, a Target gift card, something like that. So they go and create these whole elaborate stories that a lot of times they sound very legitimate, but that red flag is how they want you to pay. I mean, no police department is going to take money for a warrant by gift cards. You know, banks aren't going to accept a Target gift card as payment. So if anyone is ever asking you to pay for something in a gift card, it's not legitimate. So they'll use certain words, like we need to clear you, your name has been brought up here, I can get rid of this problem for you. So they create some problem that's not actually there. They try to create that paranoia, make you be fearful of something that's not actually happening. And these guys are the ones that are super persistent. They stay on the phone with you. They won't let you hang up. These are the ones that if you hang up on them, you get phone call after phone call after phone call, these nonstop until they finally give up. Another big one that we've been seeing quite a bit is some tech support scams. And these are more of your hackers. These will normally start by an email. You get an email coming to your inbox. It could be something that looks legitimate, and then within that email is a link that you click. You click on that link, and then it starts to install a program onto your computer that gives a hacker access to your computer. And once they're in there, if you save your passwords onto your computer, they can log into your internet banking, find all this information. Anything that you think is normally secured on your computer, you could have given them access to it by clicking a link and not even realizing it. It may not even be something that pops up as a window that you see, but you click on this link, and it runs through the computer, grants permission, then installs it, and then it gives this hacker all access to your computer without you ever even knowing. So the other big part of that too that I want to touch on, if you think your computer has been compromised, it's always a really good idea, and I always recommend this to everybody, to get that computer professionally cleaned. If you've been a victim of one of these scams here, that someone's gained access to your computer through that link that maybe you can't even see, who knows what all they've installed on there. So I always tell people, if you've got Best Buy protection, a trusted computer company nearby, unplug your device, don't even let it turn back on, immediately unplug it, take it there, let them know, hey, I've been a victim of a scam, I need to have this cleaned to make sure that no one still has access to any of your personal information after that. Because a lot of these times they will use that information once they get into your computer, and I've seen a lot of them logging into online banking, and they use that to wire themselves money, wire it to someone else, or this is another way that they can kind of get in and start that, open that conversation with these gift card scams.
Just to add, piggyback on what Hayden said too, those are the times if you do know that happens, contact the bank immediately, because they can get access to your online banking. I believe another term for it is mirror screening, so they can see behind the scenes, they can see your passwords. So that is a time that you would want to contact us immediately so that we could freeze those accounts and disconnect all of your online banking. We can go into more of that later when we get into the banking part of it, but I just wanted to add that.
Yep. So one time I'm going to hammer home, this brings back my big point of gift cards are only for gifts. If someone has put a program onto your computer that says, hey, we'll get rid of this for you, but you have to pay us in gift cards, then you know that's a scam. No legitimate tech support company will ask for payment from someone else's gift cards. Some of these other ones, dating scams, we've actually been seeing this quite a bit online. They start online and then it gets to be, you meet somebody online, they say, hey, I'm from out of the country, out of the state, I really want to come and see you. Can you give me a credit card information so I can buy a plane ticket, so I can do whatever? They act like they're your best friend, they act like they're your new love, and then they have all of your personal information to do with what they please. And then very quickly they drain bank accounts. So these points in blue on these next coming slides, these are just kind of some simple tips what you can do to keep yourself safe and avoid getting into these predicaments here. So just simple enough, don't give money to someone you don't know. I mean, if you don't know this person, you haven't actually met them in person, they could be totally fake online. So if you aren't 100% sure who they are, don't give them that money. Prize scams, another one we see a lot. I remember seeing that a lot more a few years prior. Like Facebook had that all the time where it would pop up an ad saying, you've won your whatever number person to visit this page, so click this link and then we'll ship you a prize. And it's either you click this link and it installs that bad program on your computer, or they go through and say, oh, you just have to pay the shipping for this $1,000 prize, and then you enter your credit card information and it looks like you're paying for shipping, but you're just giving a scammer all of your information. A lot of these, sometimes it can be a phone call, an email. Either way, it starts with if someone wants to give you something, but they're going to require a fee to deliver it. That's a pretty good indicator that it's the scam here. So another thing you can ask yourself, did you sign up for any contest? I mean, a lot of these times that you're not going to be a winner of a contest you didn't sign up for. So if you get a phone call out of the blue saying, hey, you've won, you know, well, I didn't sign up for anything, I shouldn't have won anything. Just something to kind of slow down and think about. Healthcare scams is another one that we've been seeing a little bit more of. A lot of these will kind of start on the phone. It sounds like a telemarketer is trying to upsell you on a new insurance program or saying you lack coverage. Or, I mean, they might sound like they're a government agent, you know, acting on behalf of Medicare or something like that. And these are the ones that are going to try to get your personal information. And we typically don't see these asking for money like the gift cards. They're more trying to get your personal information to use your credit, to open accounts in your name, to just apply for credit cards, max them out, do all sorts of devious stuff to your credit score here without you knowing. If you get these phone calls, you get any of these messages, again, take your time, look into it. Ask a friend, hey, have you heard of this? You can look it up. Yes?
What the Medicare scam, I get those calls all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know if I had the old paper card or the plastic card.
Sure.
And then they want my number. Well, I stop right there.
Yep.
But what can they do with your Medicare number?
So it depends. I've seen it before where if they get your information, then they'll call back in to Medicare saying they're you, and then they will impersonate you and say, hey, actually, I forgot this number. Can you tell me what it is? Or I've got this, and then they gain access to your information by pretending they're you. If they start with your member number, they call in. So I like that idea. Hang up if you get it. You can always call, Medicare's numbers, 1-800-MEDICARE. Call that back, say, hey, I'm returning a phone call on this. This is what we were talking about. If that agent at the 1-800 number says, I have no idea what you're talking about, you know, that's the good indication that, okay, this person that was calling me before wasn't real, and then you can ignore that from there. One of the last I'm going to touch on is imposter scams, and that's another kind of all-encompassing one. Kind of fits those broad categories, and this gets used for everything. It's, you know, if someone is pretending to be who they aren't, or someone that they're not, it kind of gets qualified under these imposter scams. So a lot of these, they start by phone or email. This one is a lot I've seen going around where people say they're a police officer, they're a federal agent, there's a warrant out for your arrest, and you need to pay money over the phone to get that warrant cleared up right away. So I can tell you, I've been in this career field for a few years, never been able to clear warrants like that. So if someone calls you and says, hey, you got a warrant, pretty likely that you don't. If you got a warrant, I'm gonna come knocking on your door and put you in handcuffs. We don't clear that over the phone like that. There's actually a scam going around not that long ago, back when Sheriff Mahoney was, before he had retired, that a college student had reported, hey, I got a phone call, they said they were Sheriff Mahoney and that I had warrants, and he said that I had to pay him a bunch of gift cards to get this warrant taken away. So a college kid downtown at UW lost a couple $1,000s to the sheriff to clear up a warrant, which, again, looking back at it, yeah, it's, pretty obvious to us that that's not real, but again, if it sounds official, there could have been a fair enough reason to believe that. So the blue point on the bottom here, police will never get your information, won't ever ask anything over the phone to clear up a warrant. IRS isn't going to collect money over the phone for a warrant. They're going to be a lot more official and slow as always, as the IRS always is. And they aren't going to take gift cards to clear up any back taxes. So some of the things here, just kind of some of the case numbers that we've been seeing through my investigations. This is Dane County specific. So the FBI has all of our crime numbers through a system called the National Incident-Based Reporting System, or NIBRS. So that's just where I grabbed all of these numbers. The last couple of years, a lot of these numbers are pretty consistent. The frauds from 2019 to 2020 jumped up quite a bit. So those fraud cases is just how the FBI described it, is the intentional perversion of the truth to get someone to part with something of value. Credit card, that's pretty simple. Someone using your credit card, someone else's credit card ATM. Wire fraud is sending that money electronically. Identity theft is your bigger all-encompassing one here. Another pretty broad one, it's just wrongfully obtaining and using someone else's personal information. Computer hacking is like we talked about before. That's that link, that email, whatever, that gains someone access to your computer, and then that back end into any of your personal information. And impersonation, just someone saying someone if they aren't, try to deceive you, just try to take advantage of you or make a financial gain that way. A little more specifically, these are kind of some of the numbers we've been seeing in McFarland here over the last couple of years. So 2018 through, as of July 2020, this bar on the line here. I grabbed these numbers from the police department's annual reports, so calls that we've responded to. The last couple of years, we were really on that downtrend. And I don't know why from 2021 to 2022 yet that we've been seeing such an increase. But this number here in 2022 is actually just about doubled. I updated the slide a couple weeks ago because I had the numbers as of April of 2022. And we were right around 11-ish. So we were right around that, about half numbers. That bar is about twice as big as what it was here from April to July. So we've been seeing a big uptick on this. And trends are, you can make of it what you want. I don't have an exact answer yet on why that is. A lot of that stuff kind of takes more time, more data to kind of analyze it, but I just thought it was interesting to look at the numbers to see exactly what we've been dealing with here. So how do these incidents happen? How do all these calls start? Like what initiates them? The majority of them we see are phone calls or emails. Occasionally, you'll get someone knocking on your door, these in-person ones. It's really anything that can get you in touch with a scammer. What they want to do is do whatever, sound friendly, sound mean, whatever they can do to hook you in and keep this conversation going with you. Because the longer they keep a conversation going, typically the more money they get from it. So some of the things that they'll say is, you won a prize, there's some type of problem, bank says there's this error here. Real quick on that financial errors point. I had a case not that long ago that somebody had a bank error. They logged into their online banking while they were on the phone with the scammer. They sent them this program saying, hey, you owe $900 that was accidentally credited into your account. So type in $900 and then it'll credit it back to us. So they put in 900 and then the program added on an extra zero. So it tried to transfer out $9,000 out of her account. And luckily that was prevented. That didn't actually happen, but real simple like that. It's a program that they initiated onto her computer to add extra money. So she thought that she was adding in, giving away so much money that was wrongfully put into her account. She thought she was doing the right thing, and then just like that, now it's 10 times the amount that she could have lost. So again, these guys want to stay in touch with you. They want to stay in contact. They'll try to keep you on the phone. They'll stay on a speakerphone. If I'm telling you to go buy gift cards, they coach you through it. They tell you to lie. And if you hang up on them, these are the guys that will hammer you call after call after call. And then it gets very intimidating. And they are persistent, they're demanding, and it can be scary a lot of times with how aggressive that these guys can get. So I do totally understand where this comes from, how a lot of these victims fall victim, because it sounds important, it sounds dangerous, it sounds like it needs to get done right now. So the best advice I can offer for this is slow down, take a breath, hang up on them, call them back. If it's something legitimate that can wait, police officers, bank staff, we'll wait for you, we'll work with you. A scammer is not going to. They're going to be persistent, they're going to be mad you hung up, and they're going to keep digging at you. So now here's kind of that topic that we pushed off a little bit ago. There's a big tool that scammers use, very common in their toolbox, very easy for them to do, this phone number spoofing. So that's where they are disguising their caller ID. They make it look like it's a local phone call, and a lot of times it's an online generated phone number. There's a lot of apps out there that a lot of people have made just to take advantage of people. Down in the bottom corner here, this caller ID spoofer is literally just something online. You put in what your phone number is, the number that you're going to call, and this new caller ID, they put in what they want to show up on your phone when they call you. So it can be this 555 number, and then they'll put your phone number in here, and then have it show up as 608-838, and it looks like a McFarland number. And then they can call right from their computer. They don't even have to be on a phone. They can be all hooked up, and then this stuff can go straight through online. So a lot of these, some of these newer phone systems, VoIP, or they're called Voice over Internet Protocol. So instead of sending a phone call through a telephone wire, now it goes online based, satellite phone to phone type of thing. So all these phone systems are online. It's super easy to hook up a phone system now with a caller ID spoofer or any of these apps that are all online. There's all sorts of these programs out here, and it's very easy for scammers to have access to them. So some of these things on the bottom, Google Voice is a pretty common program through Google. It's a legitimate program, but people can easily take advantage of it and create a new phone number, and you can use that for whatever you want. The little mustache guy in the bottom middle there is it's an app called Spoof Card, and it's very similar to this other one here. It's text-free, and what text-free advertises on the App Store, you can still grab a free phone number through their service by signing up through the website or the mobile application. You can choose an area code and memorable phone number patterns when signing up for a number. You can keep the number as long as you want, though you'll only use it once every 30 days to place a call. So that's an app you can get on your phone. They advertise it. Change your phone number as much as you want. You can get another one whenever. Keep it as long as you want. Get another phone number. So they can call you on a fake phone number. It looks local. You call it back. The phone number doesn't even exist. So that's why, how you were saying earlier, you call the phone number, it's not in service. They just created whatever phone number that they wanted to show across the screen on your phone. So that phone number looks local. It's not even real. So here's kind of another look of what some of these apps look like. So this first one here is that spoof card. You type in the number that you call. The second box, you type in the number that you want to show up on somebody's phone. And that's just an app that somebody can download on their smartphone that they can call you from whatever number they want. They can make whatever they want show up on your phone. This text-free, this other one here, same type of thing. This person here picked up their phone number, 275 Sarah. I mean, you can change that phone number to whatever you want, use it as many times as you want. So there's a lot of programs out there. Just because you're seeing a local phone number doesn't mean it's local. It's so easy anymore to make a phone number look like it's actually something real.
Can't the phone company prevent that somehow?
I think that's one of those things that there's so many alternatives to it at this point, and I'm sure it's so easy to make another app just like that, that if they block one, there's two more that take its place. So there's so many different avenues now to change a phone number like that. I think it's beyond the point of being able to stop it. I mean, there's no call lists and stuff that work for the robocalls, those companies that will just go and have a recording and it dials just every different phone number. If you hang up on it, it dials the next number in line. So he calls 838-1234, you hang up on it, calls 838-1235, and then it will just keep playing that same recording over and over again until it picks up on somebody, and then at that point, once that recording realizes it has somebody, it'll connect you to an operator, and that's your scammer sitting on the other end of the phone. So there's different programs out there that, those no-call registries can prevent that, but there's so many other avenues that I don't even have a solution for how you could mitigate that right now. The next part here, solicitors. So these are your in-person scammers. A lot of these guys, they act like they're door-to-door salesmen. A lot of the ones that we see, it's a lot of a summertime thing because you get these people running around saying, hey, we'll repave your driveway. We've got extra asphalt from a job. Don't want it to go to waste. How about we'll give you a really cheap price and we'll repave your driveway. We'll reseal your driveway. And then they do a really shoddy job. They say they're going to put down 3 inches of asphalt, and instead they put some black paint down, and then they get paid in cash, they're gone, and you can't find them. Another time you really see them is when there's a big storm that goes through an area. These guys will be out patrolling the area looking for storm damage. They'll say they're a construction company. Hey, I see your roof is damaged. Looks like you got some shingles blown off. We can repair that for you. Here's my phone number. We'll come out and do this, and then that's one of two things. They're either trying to do really shoddy work and get paid way over what they deserve, or they're trying to get into your house. They'll say, hey, I see you got some storm damage here. Let's come in and talk about this. I'll show you what my company can do. Then they're into your house, they're having a conversation, seems like a friendly guy, and they step away to go use the restroom, and then they're looking through your medicine cabinet, getting your information on your pill bottles. So it's an avenue that these in-person ones can be a little riskier because sometimes it's these people that are trying to force their way into your house. So don't ever be afraid to just slam a door on somebody. I mean, I hate to say this, I don't want to try to scare anybody, but you just never know what people are anymore these days. So a lot of their goal, like I said, they'll offer really cheap work. You think that you're getting a really good deal. This guy says, hey, I can do this cheap, a lot cheaper than you think that anyone else would do it. And then they take the money in cash beforehand. They don't do it at all. Or they do something totally different than what they say they were going to do for you. A lot of times it's a lot lower quality. They say they'll reseal a driveway and you get a bucket of black paint. They dump it and then they go. So this is another one of those things that if it seems too good to be true, it very well could be. So this phishing is another big tool in a scammer's toolbox. This is how a lot of these scams start. It's probably one of the most common ones we see. It's where they'll send you an email that looks like it's legitimate, but it's something that they created as a way to install that bad program on your computer or to get you to call them and start that in-person contact. Some of these, I mean, they're getting pretty good. They're starting to look legitimate. I've seen some that look like they're coming from AARP, some that look like they're coming from a shopping website, or some that's like a healthcare publication. And they will go and take the actual company's logos online, build it into their email, and then send it off to you in hopes that you get in contact with them, and then they'll start their scam. Or a lot of times that those emails that looks like it's from an actual website will have something that you click on in there, you click a picture, you click a link to take you to a different website, or it looks like that's where it's taking you, but instead you click that link and it gave some program access to download a different program onto your computer. And that's when you start getting these different programs like this malware that will again bring you back to your tech support scammer saying, hey, there's a program on your computer, I can remove that for you, but you have to pay me to get rid of it. And ultimately they're the ones that created that program and installed it, and they've stuck it on your computer, and now they want you to pay them to get rid of it. So the big thing with this, just be cautious of some of the emails you get. If it's something you don't see a lot, read it over. Don't click on anything in it because it could open up something that you don't know. Or if it doesn't look legitimate, when in doubt, throw it out. If it looks weird, get rid of it. You get so many junk emails anymore these days that most emails you get aren't relevant anyways. So to elaborate on this a little bit more here, there's a little bit more on the technical part of it. So after you click on a link, this would kind of open up what Nona was talking about, the screen mirroring. Another thing they call is like a remote into your computer. So that remoting was actually designed with a legitimate purpose. Like it works really good. I mean, we will use that same type of technology here for the police department for our IT guys that are in an office in downtown Madison, that we can give them access to use our computers here in the McFarland Police Department. So that way they don't actually have to come down to a physical site and log into your computer to fix something. However, scammers found a way to exploit that. So some of these times you click that link, it can actually be a link to actually download a program like this that gave access to your computer to say, hey, let this guy in. And once they're into your computer, they can do with it just like it's theirs. All of your information is available to them at that point. So, and this is kind of that point that if something like this could have been on your computer, this is when I say unplug it, don't even turn it back on, take it somewhere to get it wiped. If there's anything bad on there, get it cleared off before it actually causes you any damage. And like I said, like those phone number spoofing apps, there's a lot of different programs out there that are made to remote into a computer like that. So I'll show you an example of some of the ones that I've seen here through work. So this one here was an Amazon email. It looks like it's from Amazon. And this was a fake order that was sent to a victim. And their main goal of this was to try to get the victim to contact the scammer, get in contact with them, and then once they got you on the hook, they keep you going. So hopefully this is fairly clear up here. So they send you something like this that you know you didn't purchase, and they expect you to cancel it and contact them to cancel it. And then a lot of times they'll say, oh, okay, this is an order made in error. Give us your credit card number. We'll refund this order to that account. And you think you're just getting a refund through Amazon, but now they have your credit card information, and they're using that to do with whatever they please. So this email specifically had a couple of red flags. So even though it's got Amazon's real logos up there, and that looked legitimate, pay attention to the closed details on this. I know it's kind of hard to see in this lighting, but this call our toll-free number right there, it's missing some spaces, and there's some more spaces that are missed under that arrival date. So really small details that are very easy to miss, but it's very easy for a human typing this up to miss a space. Human error in an email and anything written is a lot more common than a computer email. If you get an email from Amazon, Walmart, Target, something like that for an order confirmation, that's automatically drawn up by a computer. There's no human input in that. That's a whole system doing that, and the computer systems don't have spelling errors like that. And the other big one here that was a big red flag for me was the actual email address where this one came from. So Amazon isn't going to send you, so your email address could be your name at whatever.com. That at whatever.com is called a domain. And a domain is for each individual company to say like where the email originates from. So if you use Gmail, all of your emails will have at gmail.com because you're using Google's platform and all their technology to send an email. Amazon, such a big internet company that they are, has their own domains, their own computer systems, their own platforms. So Amazon, Walmart, Target, all of those big businesses aren't going to use an email that says at gmail.com. And another thing if you get something from Amazon, it's not going to say billing department, blah, 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 blah. That's just something that somebody typed up to create that. But again, if you're not looking specifically for these errors, it's very easy to confuse this as a legitimate email from Amazon. Here's another one that, again, uses Amazon's same type of design. It looks like it's from them. It looks like an order confirmation. These guys threw on some super high numbers on there to try to draw your attention. I personally, if I saw a $5,000 order from Amazon, I'd be slowing down for a second thinking, whoa, hold on, what's this? Because, that's a big number. And that's the goal of this. They'll throw a big number to draw your attention, to get you to call them and say, hey, I didn't do this. And then, again, they got you on the phone there, and that's their goal, is to start a contact with you. So even though this email here, the very subtle thing on this is a format error with that phone number. So after this 810-522, all computers that automatically generate phone numbers, they won't have a dash in there. So again, really simple things that are very easy to miss, which is why a scammer missed them when they typed it, but it's errors that computers don't make. So, and legitimate emails that you get that come from a company for an order aren't going to have those on there. Another real simple check with these is, if you have an Amazon account, you're buying things online, and then you get a confirmation email like this that seems like if it's an order you don't remember making, you can log into your Amazon account and look and see if you have something under your recent orders that matches this email. And if there's nothing on your Amazon account under your recent orders that matches this, then you know that this is a scam. Real quick, I'm going to just kind of touch on some basic internet safety stuff. Always guard your personal information. Keep your passwords private. Keep them to yourself. I can never remember passwords these days. With everyone's got their different requirements. So I have, again, my little book on my desk that, now you know where it's at, but the door's locked, so you can't get to it. But again, I have all of my passwords written down in one spot because, one, it's tough to remember, but keep them to yourself. Use secure networks. This is something that, like public Wi-Fi at a McDonald's, a bigger store, whatever, where you log on to Wi-Fi, it may not have protections like your home internet might have. So just be cautious of whose internet you're using. And because if it's a public internet, public Wi-Fi, you're on it, anyone else can be on it, and then anyone else can, if you're sharing the same network, you could be sharing some other information like that. I know a lot of people anymore have a lot of email or a lot of passwords and a lot of accounts linked from a phone to a TV to a computer. Just be mindful of what's on your computer. If you have a password saved there that's linked to your phone, if you have a mobile banking app, could that be linked to your computer? Again, just be careful what you click. A lot of these links look like it's telling you some good information, looks like it's taking you somewhere important, but instead it's secretly downloading something on your computer to give somebody access. So think before you click, and if it seems too good to be true, it very well could be. So what do you do if you suspect a scam? If you get the magic pop-up window here that says, hey, yeah, you've won, click this continue, one of two things is going to happen when you click that continue. It's either going to install that program onto your computer, or it's going to take you to a page where someone's asking for your personal information, your credit card information, and you want that. If you get emails like that, just delete it. Don't click that link. If you get the phone call that's a scammer on there, don't hang around, hang up. Don't stay on the phone line with them. If someone's persistent, hang up. The amount of times that I've been talking to a scam victim and seen a phone ring, and I will answer, hello, this is Officer Kilcombe, McFarland Police Department. That line hangs up, and that's the end of the phone calls. So if you're getting those phone calls nonstop, I'll give you permission to impersonate me this one time just to get those phone calls to stop. Again, don't give out any of your personal information, and ask someone you know, ask someone you trust if you see this stuff. Say, hey, run it by somebody, run it by a neighbor, a friend. If it seems strange, see what they think, get a second opinion on it. And always feel free to report that. Call it into the police department. It could be a scam we know about. It could be something totally new. We'll look into it, do what we can, but again, keep your personal information safe. Don't give any of that out to anybody that you don't know. The last thing I'm going to end you with here is what to do if you are a victim of a scam. Number one thing, this is what I tell everybody, contact your local police department. So I assume the majority of the people here live in McFarland. However, everyone watching may not be McFarland residents. So wherever you live is who you have to report a scam to. That's your local department, your local agency is who needs to take that initial report. And the next thing, possibly even the first thing, before you call us, call your bank. Let them know what's happened. Let them know, hey, someone's had access to my account, freeze it, don't let any more money get out of here, and then monitor your stuff. The banks will be really good if you've been a victim of a scam, and I'm sure this crew here will elaborate on that a lot too, that if they know your information has been compromised, they'll do a lot for you to make sure that your money stays safe. Again, not just your local banks, contact your credit card companies. I know a lot of people have a bunch of credit cards running around in their wallet that they don't even use anymore, but be mindful of them. That all those cards have all the same information, all your personal information on them, so make sure you contact all your companies. Just request a new card. Have them monitor if they see any fraudulent charges, let them give you a call. And Most companies anymore have that built in. If they see a weird charge, they give you a call right away for their fraud detection. Take those computers to Best Buy, get them clean, get them wiped, get any of that bad programs off of there, and then change the password that you have. Make sure you're keeping your information safe. And then additionally, I always recommend, and I've got, I think on a lot of these handouts that's back there, this identitytheft.gov through the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC. They do a lot of scam work, a lot of these fraud stuff. If you've been a victim, contact them. They help you get into, they create what's called a recovery plan. So if you've been a victim of identity theft or you have some money lost, these guys here have some resources that kind of help you on a plan to get your credit scores cleaned back up again, and to help that they can do a little bit more than what a local police department can. So that's all that I have for you guys. Hopefully I think a couple of you guys are still awake, but now I'll let the rest of the crew down here talk and kind of explain what the bank does for you guys.
Okay, I'm just gonna start out and then everybody will share a little thing. But I just want to piggyback on Officer again. If you don't want to use his name when you're answering the phone, what I suggest to do, I'm going through this with my elderly parents right now, I tell them don't answer the phone. If you don't know the number, if you don't recognize the name, don't answer it. If somebody really needs to get a hold of you, they will call back and leave you a message. So that's what I would encourage you guys to do. So just from a bank perspective, I just want you to know, so for those of you that do come and see us, thank you for being clients of One Community Bank. We appreciate you. But I also just want to add, there's things that we train our staff on when you come to do a transaction or conduct business with us. Obviously, we have great technology. We have your ID scanned into our system, so we're able to look at that. If we ask you for an ID, we're doing that for your protection. We have people that are reluctant to give us ID, but we need to see exactly who you are. We train our staff to get to know our clientele. We want to have a personal relationship with you. If I'm doing business with Ann, and I know Ann comes in every other week and she gets $300 in cash, if she starts coming in and withdrawing large amounts of money, we will be asking you questions. We're looking out for your protection. We want to protect the money that you have with us. There's a lot of little things like that that we see. When the officer was talking about, looking at the different fonts and stuff, when you see an email or something come through, a lot of times you'll get a check in the mail. Maybe this is a refund for something or you won something. Look for those different fonts. Look for the way that it's signed. I mean, we see that a lot, the date's written. Sometimes the font is larger in different areas. So there's a lot of different things that we see when it comes in. But just to say one more time how important it is, these people will lie to you. People believe that these are really smart people. They don't have real jobs like you and I do. They're good at what they do. So I think that, that's the biggest thing is like, if you don't, like he said, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. My supervisor at work tells me, follow your gut. If it doesn't seem right, it probably isn't right.
So Nona really kind of talked about what I was going to talk about as well. We do train our tellers to look for certain things when you're making a transaction. They will ask you questions.
We can hear you.
They will ask you questions. And please feel free to say as little or as much as you'd like, but the more information that you give us, the more we can help you if you are getting scammed. They will tell you, just like we said before, they will tell you to lie to us or keep information from us. They may tell you to keep information from that clerk at, I hate that word clerk, but salesperson at Walgreens when you're buying $500, $1,000 worth of gift cards. If anybody is telling you to lie, you are getting scammed. So please just be as truthful as you can. And like Nona said, we do try to get to know our clients very well. And also, if you don't bank at One Community Bank, you can stop in. We're more than happy to give information if you don't feel comfortable going to your institution. You're just feeling maybe a little bit apprehensive about it. We'll always be happy to help anybody. So come on in. Oh, she's got more.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, so Ann and I are on the front line as these people are, but one of the people that sees a lot of it from an account aspect of it is Patty. Patty is one of our senior relationship bankers there. So just kind of you would work with Patty from start to finish. So Patty, if you kind of want to explain the process a little bit, if I come in and I say, you know, Patty, I think someone's gotten into my computer, can you help me? What do I need to do?
Yep, so I'll kind of talk about that. So if you feel like somebody has gotten into your computer, typically I'm going to listen to your story so I kind of know what direction to go. In that case, I'll do exactly what officer said to do, to call your computer guy, shut your computer off, unplug your computer, because if your computer is still on, then they're still accessing things. But as soon as you shut it off, that stops it for them. As a banker point of view, what we're going to want to do in some cases, this is not always a scenario, but a lot of times we may have to close that account specific. We may have to close down your online banking for a little while, freeze all of that, open up brand new accounts, which then on your side, then we have to go through everything and, you know, did you have Social Security coming in? Do you have automatic payments for your Alliant Energy bill or, you know, whatever? Are you getting pension deposits or that kind of thing? So then we need to, on the back end, we're going to be rerouting some of those to the new accounts. In the meantime, before you have a chance to alert those and give them your brand new account numbers. So there's a lot of little logistics that we have to do on our end as well, because we don't want to slow down your process, but in some cases it might take an extra couple days for those direct deposits to go in. So we're kind of looking at all of that information. So the more that you can tell us, the easier it will be in the end for us to make sure that we have everything covered when we talk to the accounting department and the back end department.
So Patty, wouldn't you suggest too that we always like monitor our statements, or if we receive them electronically, look at those statements, make sure all the transactions on there or all the checks that you write now are truly your transactions?
Yep. And another thing I kind of wanted to add, because I noticed that the fraud number jumped so much in 2022. If some of you are clients of ours, you may notice that within the last year, we've been asking you to include, we'll be sitting with you in the office, a new thing that we've added since this past year is phone verification. Thank you, passwords. And then we'll be kind of acquiring those, and that's for your protection as well if you were to call in. We have a phone verification process, but we've since had to add some of that because the scammers are getting braver, and so we just want to do our due diligence to protect you as best we can.
Melissa, I know there's a lot of debit card fraud and scams out there today. Can you touch base just a little bit on, you know, what we see and what we would do?
Absolutely. So there's, aside from all of the different types of fraud, you've got account fraud and debit card fraud. So a lot of these scams fall into one of those two categories. How many, do I have any debit card users here? All right, okay. So I know that debit cards, for a long time, that, you know, the media and the world tells you that debit cards are bad and not to use debit cards. On the flip side of that, and I don't say this to scare anybody, but when you write a check and you put that check in the mail, every piece of information that somebody needs to gain access and send money from your account is on a check. It has your bank, it has the routing number, it has your address, it has your account number, it has everything. When you order checks, we recommend that you do not put your driver's license or phone numbers or anything on your check orders anymore. A lot of companies won't even allow us to do that. But with that being said, debit card fraud is very rampant. Just like scams, it's everywhere. There's a lot of protections that are in place now, including chip cards. So I encourage every one of you, and if you bank with us, we are more than happy to teach you all about debit cards and using debit cards, or your own local institution. They will be more than willing to do that as well. Debit card fraud is more common, but it's easier to fix. So the way that I explain it to clients that see is, you've got your house, right? If you lose your keys to your house, you don't sell your house and buy a new one, you replace the locks. That's what a debit card is. If you are not liable for any fraud that happens on a debit card, we just simply shut that card number down and we get you a new card number to replace that other one. So you're not talking about buying an entire new house, right? With a check scam, or anybody gets a hold of your information, we really don't have another choice besides to close your entire account down and open a new one. So while check fraud is much less common, account fraud is much less common, it is much harder to fix. The process is a lot more in-depth and more involved than debit card fraud is. So I just wanted to point out.
I've got a question regarding the debit card. What sort of fraud would be happening? You know, you've got your chip, I mean, other than losing your card, that's a scary thought.
Absolutely. So the question was, is what kind of fraud happens on a debit card?
Yeah.
And the answer is actually pretty gigantic. That you've got people that are spoofing debit card numbers that literally will have programs that run 16 different digits with a certain, every debit card has a security code on the back and expiration dates. They will try to run like a dollar transaction through something over and over and over and over and over and over again until they get a hit. And then they try to use that to make other purchases. So really, when you're looking at your statement or you're looking at your online banking, you may look and see, I don't have an Xbox. Why is Microsoft charging me for an Xbox game? That is very likely the result of somebody, you know, you may never have, it's not just online shopping that can cause these things. Unfortunately, scams are everywhere. The best thing that you can do is to monitor your accounts and protect your accounts. Look at your statements, look at your online banking. But debit cards, if you have fraud on your debit card, you call us, we close down your card, we get you a new card with a new number, and you can call to actually dispute that transaction and you get those funds back. You are not liable for fraudulent transactions. So it's just a little bit easier it's more common, easier to fix versus the account side. Go ahead.
Yeah, so credit cards, you know, you give your, that number, that
Mhm.
secret number over the phone.
Yep.
What about that? Because you cannot use your credit card unless you give them that, and that's over the phone, and you don't know who that's going to.
That is correct, but hopefully, you know, you're gonna use all of the tools that we've talked about in the seminar to make sure that you are talking to the right person and you are giving that to somebody, because you can. Alliant Energy is a great example. I bet a lot of you have automatic payments set up for different things. And you can set up automatic payments in a multitude of ways. You can either give the company your account number, your routing number, and your bank number for them to automatically pull those payments. Or some companies will actually take your debit card information and they'll set your automatic payment up on your debit card. You know, if somebody's calling you and asking you for that information, that would be flag number one, because a company is not going to call you and ask you to set things up on automatic payments. You're going to be the one calling them saying that you want to, you know, set things up on automatic payments. And just like the officer was saying before, you know, the police department, people like that are not going to call you. If you get a call from a police department saying that your grandchild is in jail and they want your debit card information to bail them out, I promise you your grandkid is not in jail. And tell them to bail themselves out. Yeah. It's, you know, it's all personal preference. Everybody has their own comfort zone. So if you are perfectly comfortable using checks, by all means, that is a perfectly acceptable way to pay. I just wanted to make sure that everybody's got the really good understanding that debit cards are not as scary as they may seem.
So real quick, just to cut in here and reiterate for anyone that didn't hear that, the question in the back was, what do we do if you have to actually pay for something with your credit card? And the response to that was, you know, make sure you're following all these tips that we gave you, and make sure before you get to that point to be confident that it was a legitimate person, entity, business that you're giving that credit card to. If someone just calls you and just straight up asks for your card number, that's something you wouldn't give it to. But there are times where you can use your credit card number over the phone, but just make sure you do your due diligence first and make sure that it's safe to do so.
And the credit card would be the exact same thing. Call your credit card company, dispute the transaction, and they'll take care of it the same way. So always monitor those statements when you get them in the mail or electronic, however you receive them. But they'll do the exact same thing.
Do we have another question?
Yeah, is it still generally recommended that you use, everybody does so much online now for shopping. Is it better to use the credit card versus the debit card?
So the question was, is it better to use your credit card or debit card when you're online shopping? And I'll give my personal opinion, everybody may have their own. In my mind, it really doesn't matter. It's the same concept that's going through. The only difference is one is going to be booked on your credit card, which is a loan that you pay back. The other is on your debit card, which is going to come directly out of your checking account. Either way you look at it, you can dispute that fraudulent transaction, and those funds are going to be returned to you if it's found to be fraudulent. So it's your own personal preference. Either way, the resolution to it is going to be the same. Either the bank, we're going to close down your debit card and give you a new card with a new number, or your credit card company is going to close down that card and give you a new credit card with a new number.
I just wanted to clarify, that's on, right? I just wanted to clarify that I'm hearing what Melissa's saying, that you can dispute the charges. You know, if it's a fraudulent, like what she was saying, like if there's a random Spotify or something on there. But keep in mind that it is separate, like if you did probably like use your credit card to do gift cards or something like that, like what the officer said earlier, those funds are probably not going to be able to be returned to you.
Correct. From the experiences that I've had dealing with some of the victims, it's if you use your credit card to buy gift cards, you've made that purchase on your own free will, is how these companies look at it. And if that money's now gone from a gift card, it's, well, you gave this gift card to somebody. We understand now that it's not under the pretenses that you thought it was, but it's different than someone taking your debit card number and using that as saying that they are you. It's different when you give the money to somebody else and they take it under some false pretenses.
And you know, like Ann said earlier, please feel free. I mean, if you ever have any questions, stop by and ask one of us. We'll be more than happy to help you or assist you in any way that we possibly can.
The guys and gals in blue are another good resource for you guys. We've seen plenty. See, we're all coordinated that today.
Yeah.
That's why we all wore the same shirts, so we look like we were in uniform. But, you know,
I
next,
missed the memo.
we'll have to get Michelle a shirt.
I need a shirt.
But I do want to introduce Michelle Garvey. She actually has a story that she wants to tell you as, she's a victim of a scam.
Yeah, and thank you for being here tonight. I really felt a need to share my story because, number one, I was incredibly embarrassed, but number two, I don't want anybody else to fall victim to the same scam that I fell victim to. And I'm well-educated. I taught many of your children, maybe, and I dearly feel like I'm good and I'm solid and I have my head on my shoulders, and by God, I was never going to be the victim of a scam. Well, I was, and I lost thousands of dollars, and just recently. And these people called me. My husband was in the hospital with hip surgery, getting a new hip, and they called me, and for whatever reason, I picked up the phone. I think I thought it was a doctor. It was a number I didn't know. That was my first mistake. If you don't know the number, don't pick it up. Don't pick it up, don't answer. Like Nona said, they'll call you back, they'll leave a message. If somebody needs to get hold of you, they'll find a way to get hold of you. But I thought it was a doctor, and then it was the whole situation. The person was was impersonating a federal officer. And of course, being the teacher, I'm like, well, I need some proof that, and so actually he gave me his name and his badge number, said, I'm gonna hang up, you Google me, I'll call you back. And that's what I did. I went on and Googled him, and I called him back, or he called me back. I didn't call him back. And then from there, he was saying that they've discovered that there were over $7,000 of fraudulent charges not fraud, he didn't use the word fraudulent, of charges on my Amazon account. And what I had to do is I was going to be used to help them catch the fraudulent person. Well, I'm a teacher. I'm going to help. That's what I do. So I knew my husband was safe. He was in surgery. He was being taken care of. And so I then spent the next 3 hours of my life that if I could get it back, I would totally, because as I look back on my situation, every single red flag that the officers and that the bank folks are talking about was there. Number one, I picked up a number I didn't know. Number two, I'm talking to a person I didn't know. They were impersonating an officer. They even sent me a picture on my phone of himself and his badge. And I'm thinking, okay, got his picture, I got his badge number, this must be legit, I'm gonna help. So I went to the bank and they were asking me to lie. I lied to Nona and to Ann. I walked in, withdrew quite a few thousands of dollars, enough to cover those charges that were in, because I had to get out that money out of my account, so when they went to my account to get that, it wouldn't be there, and the charges would bounce, you know, it would be turned down. So, and they were like, okay, so why do you want this amount of money in cash? You know, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna put on my big girl pants and I'm gonna lie. And so I was like chipper as normal, and I just said, oh, you guys knew we just bought a new lake house and I need furniture for it, and I'm buying it on Marketplace, so I have to use cash. And I was very calm and cool together. And then I go back to the car, and then he's like, okay, now you have to we have certain machines in the Madison area and the Milwaukee area and they're called Bitcoin. And it's, I didn't even know what Bitcoin was, but I went in and I found the Bitcoin machine, and I had to go to a specific one. I couldn't just go to any one, and that should have been another red flag. It should have been another red flag that I was withdrawing cash and not telling the bank that I dearly trust what it was for. It should have been another red flag. He kept telling me, now we're trying to catch the people that are doing this. So don't tell anyone. You know, don't tell your kids, don't tell anyone. And I'm like, that should have been a huge red flag. But I'm thinking, you know, the teacher and me, I'm gonna be helpful, I'm gonna be, and you know, and one thing led to another, and pretty soon I was sitting in front of the Bitcoin machine, depositing thousands of dollars into this machine, and then also putting a picture of my driver's license on it. I never gave up my social security number. Thank goodness. I didn't give out any bank account numbers or anything like that, but they did have my license, and I had given them, when you put your money in a Bitcoin machine, then it immediately gives you a passcode so that I could get out that money out of the Bitcoin machine if I wanted to. I gave the scammer the Bitcoin password. Sure enough, I go on to Bitcoin, and next thing I knew, it got zero money, you know, and so then I knew. And then the next day I went into Nona and I wrote down, and I'm just like, I can't believe I'm an educated person, and I felt like I'm responsible, and I used to teach people or kids, and I got just suckered into this. They are really good. They were convincing to me that I was being helpful. I was going to catch a scammer. And I didn't. I lost thousands of dollars, $7,000, you know. And
looking back on that, don't you think that you were in a very vulnerable?
Oh, they somehow or other, that's how good they are. They just they knew I was worried about my husband. My granddaughter had just come down with COVID. I was like freaked out, and it was a terrible time, and this person was trying to tell me that I was being helpful in trying to catch these scammers, and that's what got me into it, because Miss Michelle, the teacher, is going to help anybody she can. But the best thing that you guys were saying, don't give money to people you don't know. Don't give money to, if you are not sure it's a legitimate business. I know on Facebook a lot of times these advertisements will pop up and it'll seem like it's a really good deal. And if it's not a legitimate company, don't deal with it. So my 3 biggest takeaways are, don't answer the phone if you don't know the number. Just don't answer it. If somebody wants to get hold of you, they will. Don't give money to people you don't know, and don't lie to people you do know. You know? I mean,
oh yeah, I need $7,000 for my house, you know, and I was legitimate and I was confident and felt good about that, and I didn't feel good about it, but, you know, and then I'm incredibly embarrassed because it's like, how can you, and I have a master's degree in stupidity, but that's what it felt like. But I just wanted to come and speak to people, and thank you for giving me the opportunity, because it can happen to anybody. And just follow those things. And partway through the whole 3 hours that I was on the phone with these people, and that my gut wasn't feeling right, and I should have trusted my gut. I should have told my kids about it. They would have said, Michelle, hang up. Mom, hang up. You know? When it was all over and I had already lost the money, I called my stepson, who used to be a former police officer. He goes, Michelle, why didn't you call me? He goes, number one, I know right away. So I gave him the number that I'd been talking to this gentleman, and he called the guy, and the guy actually answered. And Luke just nailed him, but the money was gone. It was actually a person from way overseas, was based in Turkey. They figured that out, and because I had driven to a Bitcoin machine in a different county, I was dealing with the police there. But the police were great. I mean, once I got done, and you feel very embarrassed, you feel dumb, you know, not to mention the money you lost. But I just want to help people to not fall victim to it. And alluding to, I did want to say, then shortly after that, I'm checking my bank statements, and I bank with one community bank, and I saw all these charges on my debit card from a Microsoft Redbox in California. So I immediately called them, and they did just what they said. They canceled that debit card. They gave me a new one, and I disputed those charges, and the next month they were refunded to my account. So it does, your credit department works. And yeah, getting a new card and a new account is a pain, because you're trying to contact everybody, and it's a pain in the butt, but it's definitely worth it. So don't answer numbers you don't know. Don't give money to people you don't know. And if someone is asking you to lie, don't do it.
Michelle, I just want to say thank you so much. Don't be embarrassed by it, because it happens to everybody. It's not just the elderly. It's educated women just like you. These people are really, really, really good at what they do. But thank you for sharing that story.
I think we'll be just about to wrap up here. Michelle, I really want to thank you for coming in, for sharing your time, sharing your story with us, and all the crew at One Community Bank. I really appreciate all you guys' time and all the effort for this tonight. And thank you for everyone that listened to us, watched us, took the time out here. Hope we can share this information. Hope you guys learned something that you can take back and kind of spread the word on this. And hopefully we can try to lower some of these numbers that we've been seeing. The biggest way we can do that is just by raising awareness of this. So if you learned anything, please share that with friends, family, neighbors, anyone that you see. As always, for everybody, we have some handouts back here. You guys can help yourselves, anything that's here today. We always have copies of these forms at the police department. The bank has information on these as well. Stop in anytime. We always have the stuff that we'd love to give out for education on this stuff. So, and again, same thing, how you can just stop in and pick up that stuff. If you guys ever feel like something's not right, stop in and ask us. Chances are we've probably seen it one form or the other, or we'll talk to each other. And if you're not sure, just ask. Again,
Thank you.
Yeah, again, I appreciate the time. Thanks, everybody.